Hello Sales Nation, I'm Will Barron, host of the Salesman Podcast, and in this video, 5 of the world's leading sales and personal branding experts share their tips, insights, hacks, and essentially step-by-step processes of what you should be doing right now to build a personal brand, to leverage it as a tool to win more business in sales.
For me, I never thought about it when I initially got into sales. I certainly didn't think about it, and the company I worked for didn't teach us to build a personal brand. For me, it's something that I developed because selling was really hard. I found it very difficult to attract people into the business and to close the deals. But I needed to find a solution to this, both when I worked in the sales role and then when I became an entrepreneur, I had to find a way to solve the problem. And so for me, building a brand so that people came to me and the sale was almost already closed by the time they came to me, it sped up the process and it made it so much more comfortable for me. So I realized that as people got to know that I was the person to go to for this solution, it got easier and easier. So then I started to go, okay, I'm going to consciously do things to develop my personal brand. And I think maybe part of the problem is a lot of people think branding is websites and logos and mission statements and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So they don't necessarily think about it as I need a personal brand because their company, the company they work for, or their own company has a brand. But that's not the only brand that's important. A lot of people think about it as real estate. In real estate, if you're going to sell your house, you're not going to say, oh, go work with Remax, which is a real estate company. You're going to say, go work with, Jane Doe, who is a person who works for Remax. And I think that's something that gets overlooked when you're a salesperson in a lot of cases. I got sent to a lot of sales training, and at no point are you ever taught to build your own brand as a person because all they talk about is the brands of the products you're selling and the company's brand. And so I just think it's something in a lot of industries that gets overlooked at the training level. And a lot of salespeople probably realize that they're the person people are getting, they're getting the referrals to them personally, but maybe they're not sure how to do what they need to do to get more referrals to their name. I think there's kind of 2 parts to this. One is figuring out what you want your personal brand to be. But essentially, I'm just talking about, what's your message? The M is for message. And that's just, knowing how you help people and getting clear and concise on that. So for a lot of the salespeople, you'll know this as an elevator pitch. For me, an elevator pitch was never comfortable. I always kind of focused on asking questions and telling stories was kind of my approach to it. But that's, kind of getting familiar with what you want your brand to be and then figuring out how you're going to communicate your brand out there. So, once you know your message, you want to think about the medium. So podcasting is one, articles is another, speaking, even your networking events that you're attending. It's just being a little bit strategic with putting it out there.
Everybody wants more sales, right? Everybody wants, but it doesn't start there. If you try to start with sales as your goal, you're setting yourself up for failure. It may take 2 years, 3 years. So that's a quantitative measure, sales. But a qualitative measure is being invited to be on a podcast, being invited to speak at an event, being asked to contribute to some roundup post on a blog, having someone come to you with a question as an expert. Those are all qualitative indicators your brand is growing. The awareness is taking, it's happening. Those are leading indicators to personal branding success and that you will achieve your objectives. Once you have this advantage of being known over other people, all these doors begin to open, all these opportunities, and you can't really imagine what the end result might be. But I do think you should have some objective. You should think, this is what I want to be known for, and this is why. Now, so let me unpack that a little bit. So, I think an objective might be, I want to be relevant for the next 5 years. I want to have more doors open to me for the next 5 years. I want to be invited to speak at an industry conference, in 2 years is my goal. I want to earn a position at a university to speak within the next 2 years. I want to be invited to be have a board position. Those are all objectives that are different than sales. So sales could be certainly one of the objectives.
We now live in the age of information. We now live in the age of Google. So when you search something on Google, Google's going to find it. And so when you say that your brand doesn't matter, in essence, what you're saying is you don't care if Google picks you up. You don't care if you are relevant for a particular topic on the internet around what it is you do. So the whole adage that says skate to where the puck is going, not where it is. If you even remotely buy into that, just maybe today you can get away with it, but in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 9 years, everything we do is going to go through Google. And if I run a Google search under print salesman or a printer salesman or IT salesman, or whatever, and I don't find anything on you, and I can never find anything on you, and you don't exist, you're a clown, and no one's going to do business with you. Period. We are afraid of what we can't find when we Google. So there's two ways to create brand. There is one to run around and do stuff and say stuff about yourself. When I say do stuff, I don't know, sell something, close deals, but then you have to tell everybody that you did it. And that becomes a little less genuine. No one likes a braggart, right? But if I can write or create content that shows how I do stuff, that teaches people how I do stuff, that highlights or uncovers difficult challenges as salespeople, whatever the case may be, and people learn from me, then that builds my brand, right? While at the same time creating content. So, but look, if people suck at creating content, you can't create shitty content. So don't do it until you know how to do it. The biggest brands, personal brands, let's say the Gary V's or the Seth Godins, it's not only what they write, but they write in a fashion or do their videos and share information that a wide audience is unfamiliar with. So because so many people don't know, they come to them to learn. So the greater your knowledge gap between yourself and everybody else, the more people will come to you to learn.
Because if you don't know what your current brand is, it's almost impossible to get to the destination you want to be at because you just have no idea what to emphasize or de-emphasize. So what certainly is most important is what your actual substance is. I mean, the jig is not going to last long if everyone thinks you're an expert and then you actually get in the room and you say, oh, blah, blah, I don't know. It's never going to survive. And what we want to do, of course, in sales is build long-term relationships, trusting relationships where people will buy from you again and again, not just the one-time quick hit. I think the problem that a lot of really talented sales professionals have is that they do have the knowledge. They are really smart, really sharp, have a lot to contribute, but that isn't getting seen. And that's really the challenge with branding, is how to break through in a very crowded marketplace so that people actually notice and understand, oh, this guy really does have something to say. I should be listening. But if you want to become a recognized expert in your field, the 3 things you need to concentrate on. Number 1, content creation, just getting your ideas out there so that people know what your ideas are and can see that they're good ideas. Number 2 is social proof. This is basically your credibility. Why should people take you seriously? What affiliations do you have? What are the markers that you know what you're talking about? And then third and finally is your network. And your network, of course, is important because A, you're judged by the company you keep. B, they are your earliest ambassadors and can help spread the word about what you're doing. And C, they're often the people that you have an honest enough relationship with that they can kind of call you out sometimes and say, Will, this is a great idea. This one's terrible. Don't do it. Your personal brand in many ways is long-term career insurance because we live in an unstable economy. Unfortunately, people's jobs can go away because of a variety of factors outside their control. But if you are known and respected by people in your industry, the minute they find out that you are available, they're going to say, well, Will's available. Let's bring him on. Let's find something. You don't have to be beating the bushes and knocking on doors for 6 months to get hired. People are going to come to you. That's the value of a really strong personal brand.
Well, so I'm a man of many questions. I ask a lot of questions about what people are doing to present that personal brand to the world. One of the first questions I always ask is, what kind of content do you put out? And do you put it out frequently enough? I find that consistency with content is king when you're building a personal brand. You want that brand to represent you personally. So it's always important for them to know who they are, know what they're shooting for, have solid, attainable goals in place, and then be consistent with delivery. If you're going to say, I want to do a sales tip of the day, every day you better have that sales tip ready to go. So do a backlog and have 20 or 30 ready to go and cover that month. Or if you're going to do video, then you need to have that weekly time set aside to create that video. Make sure you're sharing that video out weekly. So don't just be, willy-nilly with what you're going to put out there. You need to be consistent with all the content that represents your brand. I think if you're not creating content and you're a sales rep and you're sitting back wondering why you can't reach your goal every month, that's the reason why. It's the reason why, because you can't say, I don't have enough to do sales-wise. I don't have enough sales to make. I don't have enough trials. I don't have enough demos, whatever it is that you're trying to get. If you're saying I don't have enough of that, then what are you doing as a sales rep to get that? So yeah, I think they should be curating, creating, writing. Creative writing is huge. Persuasive writing is even better. Writing is huge for me. I was a writing communications major in college, so I really had a strong focus on how to write the right thing. What am I shooting for? What's the goal? What's the call to action? All this stuff plays into putting content out there that's consistent and creating it from within yourself. Don't rely on your marketing team to create your sales content.